Hi, good morning. I'll go ahead and call the meeting of the drainage trustees to order. We have no drainage claims. We do have minutes from last week. Courtney, would you read those for us?
Okay, the Wright County Board of Supervisors met in regular session as trustees of the Drainage District with the following members present. Rick Rasmussen and Carl Huggold. Also present were Betty Ellis, auditor. Other interested parties present were Todd Foss and Lynn Lukes. Motion by Huggold and seconded by Rasmussen to call the meeting to order. Motion carried. Motion by Rasmussen and seconded by Huggold to approve drainage claims for payment. Motion carried. Minutes of the September 9th, 2024 meeting were read. Motion by Huggold and seconded by Rasmussen to approve the minutes as read with the addition of all ayes. Motion carried to the end of the paragraph containing the motion to approve the completion report. Motion carried. There were no work orders needing approval. There were no drainage invoices needing approval, and motion by Rasmussen, seconded by Huggold to adjourn the meeting. Motion carried.
Any additions or corrections? Not, they will stand approved as read. Okay. I have a motion to adjourn the trustees meeting.
Moved.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Okay, we'll go into a regular supervisors meeting. A motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
A second,
Sorry.
any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Betty, you read the minutes from the last meeting, please.
September 16th, 2024, the Board of Supervisors met as Drainage District trustees to view the minutes from the drainage meeting. See the Drainage District minutes on the county website. Chairman Huggold called the regular meeting of the Wright County Board of Supervisors to order at 9:05 a.m. Members present were Rasmussen and Huggold with Cluse absent. Motion by Rasmussen, seconded by Huggold to approve the tentative agenda. Motion carries. Minutes of the previous regular meeting of September 9th, 2024 were read and approved. Approved claims for payment. Adam Clemens, Wright County engineer, gave an update on his department's projects. The road crew worked on 335th Street rehab from the Woolstock Bridge closure. The crew worked on the road, the crew worked the road up some utilizing a pick and then hauled rock to it. They also continued to mow, work on the granular program and concrete patching. Motion by Rasmussen, seconded by Huggold to adjourn the meeting. Motion carries.
Any additions or corrections? No, they will be approved as read. Okay, open forum for public. Anybody in the boardroom or online wish to address the board? Anybody in the chambers here? Online, anybody? Okay, moving on. Take action on liquor license for The Brew LLC pending grant. The address is 2291 195th Street in Tryon. A motion to approve.
So moved.
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Adam, let's go to secondary roads.
Okay. So crews are out, spot blading last week, and I was out, with Nate, last week, and we noticed that we are needing to do some weed whipping around bridges, so we put them on that, on along guardrails, obviously getting ready for that white stuff to fall. Full blading, the guys were able to go out and full blade after the moisture we got on Thursday, so that was nice. Trucks are still hauling, and they're also, you've probably seen some, total patcher work out on County K, north and south. They started on that. They seem to utilize that very, very well. So the guys are working on that. Granular program, gravel miles, 84% done, 103 out of 122. Both mowers just went down again last week, needing belts. So the shop is on top of that, trying to get that done. So that's why you haven't seen any update on zone 2. Work orders completed, 17. We also reopened the 335th and put more lesser gravel on top of it. So we put the rock on and then we did a top dressing of the gravel on there. So, you see that, the bridge crew, the sign crew was out last Thursday night. If you saw any trucks out late, they started about 7:30 doing their night drive, their reflectivity. They got about 5 1/4 townships done that night, had 3 trucks running with our application that we can use, our sign app that the Service Bureau made for us. So they can go out and essentially the sign pops up and they say if it's reflective still, good, fair, poor. So they'll be going back out on Thursday night to finish up I think I wanna say the north half of the county is what we're doing this year, so. Any questions?
C-70, looked like one patch left to do, will we be
Just a few.
finishing that up?
Still a few patches left to
Okay.
do, yes.
Um,
We have some radiuses that we're also gonna try to do on, County K and C-70, and I talked to him about the Stonega Blacktop, Jake this morning. He's gonna try to work that intersection going southbound,
Good.
to make that a little better, cause I see that there is a pothole there. So I want him to work that before we have to put a patch in that radius.
Will they, I would encourage somebody to go out and maybe take a couple buckets of gravel or something
Yes,
there's-
the one going east, yep.
on C-70 is,
Yeah.
I mean, it is brutal.
Yep, they also will go back out after all of this is done and crack seal them.
Okay,
So we go out and recut the edges and crack seal it so we can.
Okay.
They also have been using fiberglass rebar so that we don't get hopefully don't get any,
well,
issue with blow-ups.
Are they working five days a week or are they still?
They're,
on four days?
we're on our 5s now,
Okay.
you know,
2 weeks. now,
Okay.
so. Any other questions? Thank you.
Okay. Okay, item 14, review and take action on the resolution 2024-26 establishment compensation board with the new rules that we have to, if we keep that, we have to have a resolution for it, I believe.
I have a copy of that.
I don't think I do either.
I've got 27s, 28s and 29s.
Oh. Oh, yeah. I do remember seeing that.
You want me to make copies?
I know that we had
I think we discussed keeping it.
discussed it and.
When I not
and
keep
said that
it,
we-
You guys were gonna talk it.
Yes, yep.
Do you think most counties were keeping it though? From my eyesight, there's a few that,
There were a few that I talked to that, I mean, they just absolutely butt heads with the compensation board and, but I don't know how else you have accountability to the citizens unless you have the citizens involved in
I would agree.
making that decision. Thank you, ma'am. So this was in reference to legislation that was passed, this past legislative session that allowed, counties to do away with the, county compensation, board, which is made up of members of the public to determine, to make recommendations to the supervisors on the elected officials, reimbursement or pay
Salary, yeah.
salary. And we have elected to continue with the county compensation
I
board.
think it's a good check and balance.
I would make a motion to approve resolution 2024-26, a resolution establishing a county compensation board.
I would second that.
Any further discussion? Rick, how do you vote?
Aye.
Dean?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries.
We have to do that every,
That once a year, Betty, or is that good for?
It'll be, it's,
Good now.
yeah.
the legislation required us to pass it by resolution too.
Once you resolute something.
Yeah,
And it says on there, it's retroactive.
Okay,
Is this your copy there?
Yeah, I need that one. So, and so the representatives of the county supervisors, county auditor and the sheriff shall serve an initial term of 4 years, and the representatives of the supervisor, treasurer, recorder, and attorney shall serve for 2 years. So you'll have to get a hold of the department heads and let them know they need to A, appoint, and then B, what terms they'll be.
had we sent anything out when that legislation was passed to the existing members of the
We
board? I
just
don't,
kind of waited to see how it.
Yeah.
Because we didn't know if it was even gonna be in existence.
right, right,
So no.
okay.
Got a couple more minutes. Let's go to item 15, review and take action on resolution 2024-27 urban renewal certificate debt on the wind farm.
So annually, we have to, if you're going to utilize TIF or tax increment financing, you have to have debt. You have established debt to utilize and check those taxes. This first one is the wind farm area. And during our last audit, Elizabeth Thayer, who is with Hogan and Company, stated that we did not do the fees associated with the interest, or no, the fees for the bonds.
Good.
And we did the interest, we've done the principal and interest, but we did not do the fees for, what is it called? Bank of America, UMB. So anyway, this does the fees for the length until the end of the debt.
Okay.
And again, these TIF districts are, use of TIF allows us to capture the tax dollars that are paid rather than them being dispersed to pay back the debt on these areas for the infrastructure that we put in, rather than those taxes being dispersed to the schools, the cities, the,
Colleges.
colleges.
This was mainly roads in the southern part of
Yeah,
the county.
Yep.
Yep, the wind farms was a initial loan was 3.5 million, and we did a bunch of road projects through secondary roads.
That was when we did 20 years. They did that. It was before me.
I think it started in 2010, so.
Motion to approve resolution 2024-27, a resolution directing the filing of certification under Iowa Code section 403.19.
Second,
Second, any further discussion? Dean, how do you vote?
Aye.
Rick?
aye,
Chair votes aye, motion carried. Are you Aaron?
Yes, sir.
Aaron, you are up. Welcome. Have a seat up there. And you're with DKM Enterprise, and give an update on.
Watch your knees when you slide under that.
Yeah, it's got a short
I need this.
Okay.
on A line.
Yes,
Give us an update.
you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
No, we've been, this particular pipe, has been under a Federal Energy Resource Commission permit for abandonment or removal for, I don't know, probably 10 or more years. And we've been digging on this pipe for about that long, off and on. It started in Amarillo, Texas, a little town just east of Amarillo, Texas called Skellytown, and we've come this far. There's some short sections in central Kansas that we're still digging on. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
So why was it taken out of service? Is it age or is it just not?
I'm not sure. That would probably be a question for Northern, but I do know that this pipe is, it's a coupled pipe. It's not welded together. So it's got a metal ring, just like an irrigation coupling. It's got a metal ring with 2 rubber gaskets and then 2 metal rings, and it's bolted together with 20 bolts. It started out as a 24-inch in Texas and Oklahoma and South Central Kansas, and they were 30-foot long. And then we got up into Central Kansas, and there were 40-foot joints, 26-inch, and then And then coming up into Nebraska, just east of Lincoln, all the way up to here, it's been 24, well, up to Ogden, it was 24 inch. And then from Ogden up to here, it's been 20 inch. So the pipe's been there since the early 1930s. So you know, I don't know the specifics of the permit that Northern had with the federal government, but it's for abandonment and removal, so we're like obligated to remove as much of it as possible. And to answer your question, I think I would suspect, because it's coupled pipe with 90-year-old rubber gaskets every 40 feet, there's probably some problems with it.
Okay.
And I wouldn't know.
It's not being utilized though, correct?
No, it hasn't. I mean, it's had gas in it. I would guess probably up to the last 2 or 3 years ago, maybe had gas in it. That seems to be the, everywhere we've been, like right before we dig it up, it's usually hasn't had gas on it for a couple of years by the time we get there to dig it up.
Was part of the easement with the landowners to allow for abandonment in place? And are you discussing with the landowners that you're crossing?
Yeah.
What do you want? Do you want it abandoned and left there, or is the federal government telling you that you have to take it out?
You have salvage rights to it?
Yeah, we're obligated to remove as much of it as possible as per the permit. And during the permit process, Northern and the federal government is required to notify the landowners of the abandonment in place or abandonment for removal. And during that permit process, they have a certain time period to respond back. And so if they don't respond back, then we proceed with the removal. So, that's where we come in, is we dig up the pipe, and we can, our company's in the used pipe business, so we recondition the pipe and then resell it. And so we've got a place to go with it.
Okay.
Northern doesn't want the pipe back, and we want to dig it up.
Okay.
So, during that, if the landowners don't respond during the permit process, the notification period, we're just gonna, then that means that we're gonna dig it up.
Okay, so,
Do you reimburse the landowner for any crop damage or?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've got a long, extensive precedent set for, golly, 600 miles.
one of the concerns is when this was put in back in the 1930s, of course, a lot of our drainage districts were established already.
Right.
But some of them weren't established. In 2017, we passed a resolution, that requires anybody working on pipes to give us GPS coordinates so we know where you've been working.
Right.
So that if we have issues in the drainage district, and repairs are required,
Yep.
that we know who to contact.
Oh, absolutely.
And all of
Yeah,
that, so.
yeah. And to answer that question, when we started in southeastern Nebraska and started coming up, in southeastern Nebraska, it's a little bit the terraces over there. They farm on terraces, but they're rolling terraces. And there's very few drain tiles, and then you get into southwestern Iowa, and they farm on stair steps. And the drain tiles are just a straight line down the stair steps. And then the farther north we got, the more grid tiles there are, and it got more complicated. And so we've started to we have an app with our company. And so when our guys are repairing the tiles as they go, they take photos. They take photos of the connections and put GPS points at every repair.
Okay,
So because
how do we access that actually my drainage?
you'd have to just ask us for them.
Okay.
And we can get them for you. There's no, outside access to that app. But we can get them for you. We can get you the GPS points for those spots.
I'm asking for that for Wright County.
Okay,
And the lady you need to coordinate with is sitting right there.
all right, Courtney.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's no sweat, no sweat. Cause we've been doing that with farmers and landowners
Okay,
also.
all right.
So, yeah, it's not a problem.
Great,
It's not a
appreciate
problem.
it. That was my big
No, I appreciate you coming in and
concern.
letting
Yeah,
us know what's going on.
Yeah.
Questions?
Yeah, and the drainage canals, I thought that was gonna be one of the questions, so I'm just gonna say it before you ask me before I leave. Like the drainage canals, we don't break the bank on the drainage canals, we'll come up to the canals, cut it off and cap it. Now, right there at the right Webster County line, Webster County was cleaning one of their drains,
uh-huh.
one of their canals, and it exposed just the top of our pipe. And we told them, so we're not gonna remove it, and they were like, well, we'll kind of want it out. I said, but we don't want to break the bank on the canal, because it'll never you can never fix it back right. And so we just cut and capped it inside the canal, and then they just kept on digging. And then also on all the county roads, we cut and cap it. And then those pipeline crossings belong to y'all after, so, y'all can,
And that's,
y'all can use that pipe across roads if y'all need to put utilities or whatever y'all need.
okay, and that's why it's important, because in 20 years, when that drainage system is still working, none of us are gonna be here
Right.
to know who did what, where, or where those
Absolutely.
capped ends are. That's why we want that information.
Yeah,
You know what?
yeah, no, that's fine.
Okay.
Especially for the county drains.
Yeah,
Yeah, if I have a utility permit prior to it, that was when it was installed, I probably do. If I don't, I would appreciate the GPS points.
Yeah, that way we know,
Where
'cause,
where it terminates at the county,
right away.
Right. Yeah,
Okay. So you want to get that wherever you cap it going across the road, a county road, we can get that for engineering, so you know where it's at, Adam.
yeah, that'd be fine.
Okay,
That'd be fine.
cool.
Great.
Yeah.
How deep is it?
Man, it's really shallow. It's for the most part, right through this part of Iowa, it's been about 3 foot deep. Sometimes it goes about 4 foot deep, but it is super shallow. And like I said, on 1930s pipe, very rarely there's a utility on top of us. We're almost on top of everybody else every time. Because they're required to go underneath us because we're older. So,
Courtney, I'll get his contact info from you.
but yeah, that's pretty much it. And it goes pretty fast. I know y'all are probably familiar with some of the repairs and install of some of the stuff around y'all seen, and like we go really fast because we're just taking one out.
Right.
We won't come into a farm or a spot and sit there for 4 or 5, 6 months. Like, if I didn't have to repair drain tiles, I could sling out over a mile of pipe a day, but stopping and having to repair drain tiles really slows us down. So,
Okay.
but yeah, that's it.
Good.
Any more
Very good.
questions?
Do you know when you'll start?
Man, we're in Wright County right now.
You are,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
All right.
we just got through digging down there by daybreak.
Yeah, I saw that, so some of the crops are out there.
Yeah, we're down, went through daybreak, and I think we're in Mr. Flummerfield's field right there, just south of the Boone River, fixing to cross over right there in Miss Erickson's property. There's some valves there, like right there close to Highway 17, and the Halverson and the B&W. And then there's like Fisher Welding
Yeah,
right there. That's kind of where we're at right now.
okay.
Yeah,
How far north is it gonna go?
man,
It goes,
it probably, so wherever it ends in Minnesota.
yeah.
Um,
This is essentially the line, Eric, across, it stays north and west of the lakes,
yeah,
like behind Newt Severson's.
so we,
150th? Might be close to some of that. It could be close to some of the conservation ground on 150th.
Yeah,
now if there is conservation ground, we have to they require us to leave the pipe in the ground. But we've got a guy that gets permits with the state for us. Who tells us, you know, hey, there's archaeological site, there's a conservation area, there'd be like, I think down in Boone County, there was like a wood duck. There was a wood duck nesting spot in the middle of this guy's cornfield. And like, he said, man, I hadn't seen a wood duck there in 4 years. But I mean, I mean, there's a possibility that wood duck could nest there, so. You just kind of have to leave it. So yeah, it's no sweat. And then we have stormwater prevention also, so, you know, we get down to creeks and rivers. We're required to stay back so many feet, don't break the bank, that sort of stuff. It's pretty simple stuff.
And if your guys need campground, our campground's open after October 15th.
Oh, yeah? I need you,
Just saying.
the county campground?
That liquor day.
Okay, is it, will they have to, like, every 14 days, like, move out and move back in and all that?
Nope.
Like the state?
Can stay put for 6 years if they need to.
Okay, well, that's good news, because we're looking for another campground. The guys are down in Boone right now, and it's kind of getting pretty far for them to come up this far, so.
We got a place for you.
That definitely would help out, yeah.
And if you should happen to drop one of those 24-inch pipes or 20-inch pipes in the campground, and hook that up into fire rings, that would be wonderful too.
Just accidentally.
No, we get that all the time. We get that question all the time. Should we make a good culvert from my driveway?
You're just
Like the camp, I need fire.
A lot of times with the county, it's like, you know, we're placing a road crossing culverts and, you know, if you do this, and I was like, okay, well. But yeah, if y'all have any more questions, just let Courtney know. And,
Cool.
Okay.
And then she'll get a hold of me.
Good,
Very good. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, good to meet you.
Okay. Good information there. 9:30, we have Kyle, is he online?
Yep.
Kyle.
Hi,
Hey, Kyle. And you're at Twin Rivers Exploration, and you're gonna give a presentation on the seismic testing you're looking at in Wright County.
that's right. Yeah, thank you for your time this morning. We'd like to be there in person. I just, my wife's birthday was yesterday. We're in Denver, so I just literally couldn't get the flight to be there this morning. But I'll be happy to meet you guys in person another time. But yeah, I'm with Twin Rivers Exploration. Our company is exploring for geologic hydrogen or natural sources of hydrogen globally and in the US. And we've been operating in Iowa for the last 3 years. We've drilled 3 wells in Webster County, and we recently completed a seismic acquisition program in Carroll County, just around the city of Litterdale. So we are looking at another seismic acquisition project in several more counties, including, and so we're seeking a road use permit from the county to be able to operate seismic trucks on the roads and collect that information. It's essentially an ultrasound of the earth to be able to see what the subsurface looks like for potential structures and other, things I guess we could see underground to see if there are potential sources of hydrogen in this county and other counties. We do have a presentation. It could take 15-20 minutes. So, we are happy to go through that today. We also don't want to eat all your time. If you'd like to do the presentation another time, we can do that. We are also planning to do a demo in the next week or two, and we would go through the presentation at that point as well. So I just wanted to kind of leave it up to you guys to see what makes the most sense for your time today.
Go to the demo, when they do the demo, so we have. Can answer the
I've
question.
already met with them, so I have the presentation, so, I just wanted them to kind of maybe give just a kind of a 411, just information, if you guys had any questions about it. I've been in contact with the county attorney about what permit we need to probably use. So we're going in the right direction. It's just,
Any issue with the tile or when they?
Yeah.
so that's
My concern is drain tile. But when you do this seismic testing, I'm thinking that you're gonna set off an explosion and have some kind of sensors that read something. Tell me what it, in the, not the 20-minute version, but in the 3-minute version, how this happens.
Absolutely. No explosions whatsoever, but Robert is here with us. He's with Vantage. He can go through that in more detail than I can.
Okay.
Yes, so can you hear me? This is Robert.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm with Vantage Geophysical, so I'm the seismic service provider that Twin Rivers hires. I've been doing this for pretty much about 40 years. So what we're basically looking at doing is we're using and a lot of people get out there and start Googling seismic vibro-size buggies. Most of the stuff you'll see online will be the very large stuff because they use that in the oil and gas exploration top side. What we actually are doing, I do a lot of engineering work. We actually use what we call mini vibes. These vibes weigh roughly about 26,000, 27,000 pounds. They're center pivot, so and they're hydrostatic run, much like the combines and some of the other tractors. So what we actually do is we get out there and we put a base plate down on typically the dirt roads. I do run a lot of stuff where I do a lot of engineering work inside of cities. So and road exploration for oil and gas. So we do it on dirt roads, gravel roads and paved roads, cement roads or concrete. So we really are able to get in there and put this base plate down. And really all it does is it just shakes. It sends over about 20 to 30 seconds. It sends some energy in the ground. And we have these autonomous nodes that we put out along the sides of the road. And basically, we shake, record that kind of like bat radar. Whenever it hits the ground and reflects up, we record all that energy. And then we hand it to a company that does the processing that really turns it into a useful image. And then our client, Twin Rivers, they actually take that, integrate that with their well data and some other information to make a regional geologic cross section across the county and state where they're shooting the data. So again, kind of like what Kyle said, I call it kind of it's almost like a 2D X-ray through the earth, where again they're just looking for geologic structure and mapping stuff so that they have a large regional scout. And this data is really just used for scouting. So there's really no contractual value to any landowners until they get a regional scout. And then what they tend to do is go back in. All the clients that I've worked for that do any kind of exploration, they go back in and then they have to negotiate a contract with the landowners if there's something in the area, a resource that they want to, what they're, the hydrogen they're looking for. So they do some kind of a leasing, just like top leasing for farming or whatever. So they'll do a direct contract with the landowners at that point. So that's kind of what we do in a nutshell.
Okay, so all of your work or testing the rig would stay on the roadways. They're not going to be entering private property or anything like that.
Correct. As far as for what I've been told is we're basically doing a roads only access. I don't know if they have contracted with any private. If they do go on private property, they have to deal with the private landowner directly and have an agreement and some kind of an access fee and all that kind of done. I don't know if they have. If Kyle can probably answer that side if they have any, but as far as I've been told, it's road access only. Yes, sir.
I'd say that it's between 1 and 3 miles of private roadway, and we will absolutely enter into an easement with that landowner. We will not be going on any private land without an agreement.
Are you doing every road in Wright County or just?
we have the most. We have the
Almost. It's a 200 miles of county road on our current forecast. So we're
In
all
the northern, southern, what is there a certain
all
area?
over.
All
I'll show
over?
you. I'll give you a map.
Okay.
I'll send you a map.
Okay, so obviously, I think you heard the last presentation. Wright County is covered mostly by drainage districts, and our concern is protecting those assets and recovering costs if those assets are damaged, so that they can be repaired. The repairs are not cheap when we enter into that, so, we'll want to know the points that you took those measurements, all of that kind of information.
And that's something I did get that from the last conversation. So as we've spoke before about this. So we use a very part of that's important for us is very accurate documentation of every detail that we do. So we have a kind of a sub 10 centimeter accurate GPS. And every one of those vibe points, it's ultra critical for us to know where that happens. All of that data is automatically captured in a very large log and very readily available, something that we can easily document and send to you guys.
Great.
Yeah, and I'd say in addition to that, Adam's provided us some of the paper tile routes, I guess, for the counties. So we're digitizing those to know exactly where those tiles could be. They shoot every 90 feet, so we should be able to upload those maps to our team so they essentially avoid where those tiles cross the road. And then in addition to that, we'll have crews surveying the ditches along the roadways to look for entry points for the tile. And we are looking at some other methods to identify tiles. So we do know it's super critical for this county. I think it's helpful to know that this type of seismic acquisition has occurred in many places in the Midwest where tile exists, in Indiana. It did happen in Iowa in the late 70s and early 80s. And so there are just other areas where we've run into tile. And so we are making sure that we have a process to manage that and communicate anything we find with you and Adam.
Yeah,
I sent you the Beacon website. Did you get access to that?
We are in the process of getting access now. So your county is part of an 8-county survey. So we're working with your neighboring counties as well.
Is the well you're digging in Webster County by Vincent, is that your guys' as well then?
Yes. Yeah, we just completed drilling that well. The rig is moving either right now or it started moving late last week. That well is about 9,000 feet deep. And it's one of, like I said earlier, 3 wells that we've drilled in the county.
Well, I appreciate you coming and letting us know what's going on and opening that dialogue and communication.
Absolutely. Yeah. And if there's anything we can do to help, like I said, we're going to try and do a vibe demo. And we'll be inviting all the counties and the towns and cities in the shoot, so we can just share as much information about what we're doing, how the vibes work, and then you can actually see how it works and in action on a county road. So we're trying to organize that very quickly. So we'll make sure to work with Adam to get you guys a date and go from there.
Now, we had one question from the audience.
Actually, Bosh, I was just wondering what your hydrogen is gonna be used for, like, cause you're digging for hydrogen, what are you using it for?
Yeah, hydrogen, it has a lot of different uses. So it's a gas. You could burn it like natural gas in equipment that runs off of natural gas. It doesn't have the same BTU content, but you can convert some facilities that way. When you burn hydrogen, it burns cleanly. It only has water vapor as a byproduct. So there's no pollution that comes from burning hydrogen. And so there's one methodology is just using it and burning it to run equipment. You could convert it to electricity. You could also easily convert hydrogen into ammonia and into fertilizer. So it has a lot of capability. It just depends on where you find it, the local markets and demand, and what makes the most sense to use it for. I hope that helps. There is a lot of information online about it, but we could connect you with some other resources if helpful.
I got a question. The actual collection of the hydrogen, is it just punch the hole, collect it, or are you injecting stuff down there?
I'd say our current focus is finding where it exists in place.
Right.
There is a possibility where you could inject water, it mixes with different minerals, and then it produces hydrogen underground, and then it could be collected at the surface. I'd say, it's always a possibility, but that's maybe not our current focus at this time. It's like drilling for natural gas anywhere else in the US. It's trying to find where it currently exists.
So my next question is, if you're going down 9,000 feet, you're obviously punching through a lot of aquifers in Iowa. And if you're gonna be injecting things, that kind of makes me nervous.
Yeah.
Um,
I'd say we're not injecting things.
System.
That's not our plan. It's to drill the wells to produce it where it exists. And then, yeah, aquifer protection is standard for oil and gas drilling, if you will. So there are many layers of cement and steel for the well where the aquifers exist to make sure that there is no communication with deeper depths or any resources that we pull out of the ground to mix with the aquifer. There are hundreds of thousands of wells drilled in the US this way to protect groundwater. Yeah, I'd say it's a tried and true process for us to protect groundwater when drilling wells.
Last question, the McDonald lease that we got, I believe it was McDonald and Company maybe or something for mineral lease. Are you associated with that? Or is
Yes.
that a separate company trying to tie up mineral rights?
Yeah, we have a company called McDonald Land Services. They are working on our behalf to lease minerals to produce hydrogen. So we're not buying minerals, we're leasing them from the landowners in the area. So it gives us the right to explore and produce hydrogen or other minerals in the area. So we have leased a few tracts in Wright County. I'm sure we have open offers on other tracts in the county as well. So,
Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much.
thank you.
Okay. Let's go down to item number 16. Review and take action resolution 2024-28 urban renewal certificate debt of service renutrients. Betty, you go on that one?
This is the same as the wind farm that we just did, is the certification of debt. So on renutrients, this past in 23-24 fiscal year, we paid $13,800 in interest. Renutrients did pay their special assessment of $15,000, and then we also paid per the development agreement a rebate of $35,656. So
Any updates on them? Darrell Stevens?
It should be, should happen sometime in October.
Okay. Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the resolution.
Motion to approve resolution number 2024-28.
A second? Second. Any further discussion? Dean, how do you vote?
Aye.
Rick?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. Okay, item 17, review and act on resolution 2024-29 urban renewal certificate of debt for Prestige. Betty?
the additional debt in fiscal year 23-24 was the Prestige tax rebate, and that was $561,506. And then we also needed to do the administrative fees on the Rise Road grant, or Rise Road grant. I guess it is a grant for the loan agreement, and that was $4,200 over the course of that loan. Then the other one was the revenue bonds with United Missouri Bank, and that was per the loan agreement, and the total for the entire year was $7,200 for those administrative fees. So.
And the rebates based on the number of employees they have each year.
Correct. And in this resolution, it shows all the past years of debt certification, so you can see where we're at and how the tax rebate has been going.
Motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve resolution number 2024-29.
Second.
Any further discussion? Rick, how do you vote?
Aye.
Dean?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. Okay. Consider going to closed session pursuant to Iowa Code 21-5 to evaluate professional competency of an individual whose appointment, hiring, performance, or discharge is being considered when necessary to prevent needless or irreparable injury to that individual's reputation and that individual's requests of a closed session. That individual has requested a closed session, so we will accommodate.
Motion to go into closed
Just,
session.
I'm trying to get this
Oops.
working and it is not working very well right now.
I'm not in it, but we just need a motion to go into it, right?
Well, I need the,
Report it. Your motion.
Oh,
You don't receive this. And then I would like to request to go into closed session with just the 3 supervisors.
Okay. Dean, and you will please take notes.
yeah.
Betty, you show them how to use that recorder.
oh, I will if I can get it to working.
Okay, we're back live. Closed session did not occur. It failed for lack of a second. And we will continue on. Item 19 will be tabled. And number 20, old business. Any new business, old business update on meetings, gentlemen?
I got, Udmo and Fort Dodge tomorrow afternoon, 5 o'clock.
I have DCAT this week.
The ribbon cutting for the Webster City CFR building and inpatient stuff that is happening. Excuse me, from 4 to 6 p.m. over in Webster City. The actual ribbon cutting will take place at 5 o'clock. And that's
What date is that on?
that's on Wednesday.
On Wednesday?
Yeah, and depending upon whether I'm in the field, will determine whether or not I go to that.
And I,
But it's open to the
I'm
public.
working in Webster City, so
Yeah.
I go right by there
That'd be
every day,
great.
so I could try to be there. for
Again,
that.
that's at, I think it's 500 Fairview Drive, Fair Meadow Drive, thank you. Right across from the
Quick start.
old Quick Star, not the new one on the west edge of town.
Next to the courthouse.
Yeah, the south Quick Star.
Yeah.
Yes, and the dentist office.
He used to be second judicial district.
So a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Ah.
We are adjourned.